Hi, my name is Ramnath Chellappa. I'm a faculty at the Goizueta Business School at Emory University in Atlanta. I'm visiting ISB to work with faculty here, and I also visit here to teach in the information systems program at times. My interest in sort of social media really stems from my overall interest in information systems, where I've been particularly interested in sort of how technology has fundamentally shaped businesses, and in particular, this is an example of where technology has shaped the nature of interaction between not only firms and their consumers, but amongst consumers. Businesses have always been interested in data from consumers. So if you go back to the very early days, the only data that was available and was perhaps used was the fact that consumers actually bought something, which meant that it was really the physical transaction data and data related to the products that allowed them to understand about the consumers. What we're seeing now is the fact that there is a lot of non-purposive interactions that go on, which means that the consumers are not specifically just buying something, or they are specifically reporting and reviewing a particular movie or a product, but there is other alternate conversations from which one can glean, businesses can glean information about sort of their preferences. So the way and manner in which preferences are revealed is particularly interesting, and the relationship you can form amongst these preferences across these different users and the kinds of people that sort of come together, that component has become interesting. So I sort of tend to view all these things as sort of various types of user-generated content. This content could be something as simple as somebody search for something to all the way to some 2-3 groups of people discussing some particular thing. Now the question is, and the question that is of interest to me and sometimes of interest to my students in a classroom as well, is that does this really have any value, any meaning, or is it idle chatter that really does not generate any value? And so this is really an empirical question, in the sense that clearly there is information embedded within. Do we know how to extract this information? Do we even know what information to collect? These are sort of some of the things that are of relevance today. So for example, if you think about the kinds of information that is generated in Yahoo, and if you think about the kinds of information that is actually generated, let's say, in searching through Google or having a discussion on Facebook. Now, if you sort of look at whether this activity leads to more sales of a movie, more sales of a particular music, or rather a new product can be best promoted in this direction, a lot of these things are being figured out. And as you would have heard from some of my colleagues, many of them are working in areas of research that sort of pertain to sort of these elements. One component, one thing that I have looked at is I've looked at how social media impacts, music. Particularly, what we find, and we thought this was interesting, was that many of the traditional artists are really being relatively less impacted by this because they apparently seem to look at this as a way to promote whatever cachet that they already have in the market. But a lot of the unknown and smaller artists, they tend to benefit a lot more from the activities that happen through these social media, whether it's Facebook or MySpace or any of these early ones that sort of came into being. So in a sense, what we're really seeing is that whatever was happening in the physical world, information systems has really provided a platform that allows for these things to be moved online, captured online, and then the data from there helps us sort of better understand sort of these embedded preferences about what people actually do without asking them directly or necessarily forcing them to reveal, but in a sort of somewhat of a more natural setting.